Hello sewers, so today we're going to learn about facings. Facings are fabric used to finish or neaten a raw edge in a garment. Three basic facings often used in garment construction are the shaped facing, extended facing, and the bias facing. So in the sample here we have examples of all three of these basic facings. So the shaped facing we have at the neckline of the sample. The extra fabric on the inside. The extended facing we have at the center front, creating a neat edge at the center front. And the bias facing is at the armhole on the inside. So briefly, each facing explained. A shape facing is the same shape as the area it covers, and it's cut as a separate pattern piece. So we have a shape facing at the neckline. It's the same shape as the outer shell of the garment. Well, I should say the same shape as the edge that is covering of the outer shell. The extended facing is an extension of the garment, and it is cut as one with your garment. So this is the extended facing on the inside. This is the garment on the outside. Bias facings are a strip of bias fabric that are sewn to a raw edge and turned to the inside. So if I didn't have this little strip turned under after it was sewn, I would be seeing a frayed edge. All these little frayed. We don't want these. So your facings help to eliminate this messiness from your garment. Now this is the pattern that we use to make the sample. It has all three of the facings in it. So we have center front. This is the extended facing. So you have here the center front of the garment, which your buttons go through. Just normal for a standard center front closure. You have a fold line, and this is the facing extension. So how this will be folded when it's done, you just fold on your fold line, and the garment is cut. So this is a line that I would need to transfer onto my fabric to appreciate where I will fold. I don't want to guess this because it could affect the look of your garment. I will also mark center front and my buttonhole placement. Those are important to know. We cannot guess where buttons should go. Your shape facing, this is the facing, it's cut separate. It's the contrast, opposite of your extended facing. The shape facing is the exact same face, so it's matching notch to notch, neck to neck. Perfect fit. Okay? And then we have your bias facing, which is simply a rectangular stretch of pattern and fabric that you use that's cut on bias. So you know this is on bias because this is a straight classic rectangle, but you have your grain line symbol going in the true bias direction. Okay? So if I was cutting this out on this white fabric on this table, I would have it like that. It would look crooked, but it's not. Cut accurately because you still have your green line symbol parallel with your true lengthwise grain. All right, so we have a few of the facings in actual garments. So we have a shaped facing in this blazer. So we have a shaped facing at the center front of the blazer. And how do I know it's a shaped facing? It's not folded under from one piece of fabric. It is attached here. And a little hint, if you were to have a curved edge of a center front, that is not possible to have a extended facing. It's a little bit more challenging to do that. It's simpler production wise to have a shape facing. And we also have a shape facing at the center back. Now you have a lining in this, so that you need to have a facing at the center back? Not necessarily, but it does give a more structured look when the garment is on. And it gives a nicer look inside as well, I believe. So we have shape facings, and we also have a bias facing in this top. So a bias facing is used to neaten the neck edge and the armhole. Now the bias facing does not have to be the same fabric, obviously, as your outer shell. But I think using white on the inside of this is a better choice because the wrong side of this black fabric is pretty pale and it looks more attractive using a white bias facing. Okay, now let's focus on the bias facing for a little bit. Now, your bias fabric, you can find it in stores usually packaged like this. This is a popular brand found in Nassau. But what if you were using, let's say, a unique color? Let's say it's coral. You're trying to find bias. You cannot find any coral bias in your local store. Definitely, you can make your own bias. So if you have your pattern with your fabric that you purchased, you just cut out your bias facing out of your fabric. Maybe the pattern calls for you to purchase it, but if you cannot find it, you're not stuck. You can make your own bias. I definitely made mine from my sample. It's a little wider than the pattern here, but it should have been this small, maybe a little too wide. So when you cut your fabric on bias, you'll have a nice stretch that allows your bias facing to fit more smoothly and naturally around an edge that is trying to neaten. Now we have, these are store-bought. Just to appreciate, they come in different widths. This is a pretty wide one, 1/2 inch wide, I believe, to double fold. And we have another one. This is a narrower one. So this will be almost half of that size. I'm thinking 1/4 inch wide. Usually I tend to gravitate towards the narrower ones. They have a neater look when the garment is done. And there you have it. You have 3 main facings: extended, shaped, and bias.